Good day, everyone. We are Group H, and the members are Briony Mun, Gong Ruixin, Nurul, Farhana, Ruslan, Phuah Jia Yu, Yip Hui Lee, and Zhu Xinyue. Welcome to Bonus versus Place, in which we will explore the scorching crossroads of ethics and profit. For case study analysis, we will look into a sample case, which is the Pacific Gas and Electric Company wildfire issue.
According to the case, millions of people in California are facing unprecedented wildfire danger. 2 major fires are burning across the state, prompting mandatory evacuation.
So for a company that is aware that their manufacturing process is causing significant environmental impacts, this begs a few questions. First is whether to invest in costly sustainable practices or to continue business as usual. And for a case like PGE, whether the company needs to allocate funds for upgrade for equipment that was still working, or should it be allocated for the employees instead? And the third is, since wildfires are also affected by other things, should PGE attempt to reduce liability or agree to take full responsibility? Several theories or principles can be applied. Under utilitarianism, the question would be, in the case of PGE, does allocating funds for equipment upgrade produce the greatest number of happiness? In deontological ethics, on the other hand, once the moral obligation has been identified, for example, protection of the environment, then the action taken would be inclined to serve this purpose. For virtue ethics, once a company is aware and acknowledged that their operations cause environmental impacts, the likely action would be to address the problem, and in this case investing in costly sustainable practices, as it entails the virtuous character of integrity and honesty. In principalism, the question would be, does the investment solve the wildfire issue and therefore benefit the environment and the community? Or will the welfare of PGE employees be impacted? Several frameworks could also be applied. Some frameworks attempt to meet all stakeholders' interest, while some focus on long-term sustainability investments at the expense of short-term profit. Or it involves action that would go beyond financial gains and considers social responsibility and environmental sustainability.
In the ethical decision-making process, there will be 4 steps. Step 1. Identify and state the problem. A company is faced with the difficult decision of whether to invest in costly sustainable practices to reduce its environmental impact or continue its current operations to maximize profit. Some of the underlying issues would be the environmental impact, the cost of sustainability, and also the profit maximization. We feel that this situation is uncomfortable because it forces us to confront the difficult trade-off between environmental protection and economic profit. There is no easy answer, and any decision the company makes will likely have negative consequences. Step 2. Identify relevant players or parties. The company is the one that makes the decision and is ultimately responsible for the environmental impact of its operations. The shareholders of the companies may be concerned about the company's profitability. As for the employees, they may be concerned about the health and safety risks they may face. Customers are also more likely to purchase products from companies that are committed to sustainability. The local community may be affected by the company's environmental impacts. The government may regulate the company's emissions and waste disposal practices, or maybe provide incentives for the company to adopt a more sustainable practice. Environmental organizations may lobby the company to adopt sustainable practices. As for the future generations, they will be the ones that are most affected by the company's actions. These are some of the laws that regulate various aspects of environmental protection, and also the codes that outline professional standards of conduct for engineers and environmental professionals.
Step 3. Generate potential courses of actions or possible options to the problem. Option 1. Invest in costly sustainable practice. Option 2. Continue current operation to maximize profit. Option 3. Hybrid approach. We have generated some additional options, including seek government grants or subsidies, partner with other companies, develop innovative technologies, invest in carbon offset programs, and lastly, engage in open communication and transparency. We have decided on 2 main options, which are investing in sustainable practice or adopting a hybrid approach. Step 4. Test your options. So we have 4 tests: harm test, phase test, professional test, and publicity test. First, harm test. For the company itself, Option 1 will face risks such as insufficient fund and declining industry competitiveness, while Option 2 has no capital loss. In terms of sustainability, Option 1 makes the company free from ethical dilemmas and risk of breaking the law, but Option 2 put the company at risk of regulatory penalties and bankruptcy. Option 1 makes the company establish a sustainable development image in laws and regulations, and Option 2 remains unchanged. But in terms of employment relations, Option 1 puts employees at risk for employment, while Option 2 does not. Option 1 will reduce the company's profit and investment. Option 2 will make the company continue to make profits. For customers, Option 1 can maintain existing customers and attract potential customers. Option 2 will eventually lose existing customers and potential customers will not cooperate. For local communities, Option 1 leads to environmental protection, while Option 2 leads to environmental pollution and biodiversity destruction. Option 1 makes residents' quality of life unaffected, and actively cooperate with the company's sustainable practice. But option 2 makes resident happiness decrease, and residents oppose the company's decision. For environmental organization, option 1's sustainable practice is supported, and environmental organization can gain more perspective on sustainable development. But option 2 makes environmental organization protest the company's behavior. For the reputation of the government, option 1 highlights the effectiveness of the government's law and the authority of the government, while option 2 makes the people's impression of the government deteriorate and the government lost its prestige. Option 1 also increases the force of the law, but option 2 reduces it. For future generations, option 1 is conducive to the growth of the offspring, while option 2 makes the growth environment of offspring polluted.
Coming up, the faith test. The Islamic perspective on the environment is based on the teaching of the Quran, Islam's holy book, as well as the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. The concept of stewardship, khilafah, over the earth is emphasized in Islam, making it responsibility of humans to care for and protect the environment. Of justice. The term adil literally means acting justly, rightly, or equitably. While explaining the meaning of adil, one interpreter of the Quran has observed that the universe has been created in balanced form, which specifically mentioned environmental justice is inherently embedded in Islamic teaching on environmental sustainability. The of balance in fundamental and extend to various aspects of life, including environmental stewardship. The Quran emphasized the ideas of balance and moderation in the use of resources, ethical conduct, and interaction with the environment. Of mercy is the concept of mercy or rahmah, essential to ethical principle and extend to interaction with the environment. The Quran frequently describes Allah as the most merciful and emphasizes the importance of mercy in human behavior. The aspect that can be related to this quote is compassion for creation, environmental stewardship, as an act of work of being trustworthy in the fundamental ethical principle that extend to various aspects of life, including interaction with the environment. The concept of trustworthiness is an environmental context and encompasses community engagement or ethical behavior. Goal of avoiding extremities and choosing the middle path known as wasatiyah in Islam is a guiding principle in various aspects of life, including ethics and interaction with the environment. This principle encourages moderation, balance, and avoidance of excess of deficiency of spiritual and physical purity is known as tahara. Tahara refers to cleanliness, purity, and purification. This principle extends to various aspects of life, including ethical behavior and interaction with the environment. Truthful, or sadiq, and knowledgeable, or alim, are highly valued ethical qualities, and they have implications for how Muslims should interact with the environment.
Christianity, it emphasizes that human as God's creator has the responsibility to take care of the environment. This is because it is also created by God. It involves the ethical duty to manage and protect the natural world with full responsibility. Christians are encouraged to exhibit love, compassion, and responsibility to care for God's creation. By holding these principles, it will influence the ethical decision-making in life and in business practices. Written at the first chapter of the Holy Bible, Genesis, the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to work it and take care of it. And also in the chapter of Psalm, the earth is the Lord's, and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. The idea that God exists in nature is the main viewpoint of earth stewardship expressed in Genesis. The interpretation of these biblical teachings guides Christians' attitudes and actions towards environmental preservation and responsible management. The awareness of environmental consequence and willingness to sacrifice for the environment cause an individual to become willing to exert efforts in expressing concern and care for the environment. This is consistent with Kant's conception of duty as virtue, as it's closely connected with the sacrifices that it brings.
Next, we move to the Buddhism perspective. When we talk about Buddhism and the environment, it is undeniable that the distinction between good and evil among Buddhists has also affected their awareness of environmental protection. They believe that the spiritual world of human beings is one with the real world, so caring for the environment is also the main body of caring for life. Then we talk about guidelines. 3 ideas can be summed up as Buddhist approaches to environment protection. First, the concept of animism. Second, practicing meaningfulness and moderation in one's pursuit of nature, the outlook of loving all living things, and the interdependence of man and nature. Buddhism provides an initial conscious drive to preserve the environment via adherence to these 3 guidelines.
Next, professional tests. In the context of PGE's wildfire history, examining these codes sheds light on potential areas of non-compliance, from vegetation management to emergency response procedures. These established rules underscore the critical role PGE plays in environmental stewardship and highlight the importance of responsible practices to prevent future wildfires. Lastly, the publicity test. It is likely that publicizing the case would be the best course of action. This would allow the company to take control of the narrative and demonstrate its commitment to addressing the environmental pollution. It would also give the company the opportunity to work with stakeholders to develop a plan to reduce its environmental impact.
Finally, we move to the reflection. As students in a multicultural nation, we frequently have to form groups with people from different religious and cultural backgrounds. We may face a variety of challenges due to religious or personal preference. Based on these challenges, we can make decisions relying on strategies, such as open communication, flexibility, and respect for personal beliefs in communication. Following these principles will make our work more effective and help us learn more in the process of communication.
Credits to all the members. That's all from us. Thank you.